ayona laphila ayinamntu umthuthukisayo kwisizwe nokuba sesaphina ngoba imithetho yasentshona njengoba ngenokumkani nje ithi qala nje uba kwange-definition i-categorize iganja ne-definition yayo as a drug kusukela nje kuloo point ayibuzwa ayicingi ayinanto ithi mhlawumbi e-Europe iyi-drug, e-India nje ayo-drug okanye e-Afrika ayonto imbi kanjalo kumkani. So saye sabona thina uba izimvo ke zizawuvela apha kubantakwethu zizawuvela zisukelela kwelo qondo kumkani. Ndizawucela umazona kule ndawo ndinikeze kuloo madoda nendodakazi ndihamba nawo. Zwelibanzi.
Ndikhala khe ndigwencile kumbi ugqiba uyithetha mntwana omhle ethi i-identifier as a drug. You know, kukho inkalo endirhalela khe siyipopole uba bayivelela njani nale yokokuba i-cocaine iyi-drug nayo categorized kodwa ufumanisa uba i-illegal possession ye-ordinary person on the street, but even legal perhaps with licenses or what pharmaceutical, you know, ufumanisa uba as much as a drug when abused it results with bad effects, but when used medicinally, the prescription of pharmaceuticals or doctors, then it is designed to do what the doctor has prescribed. Now, ndizama ukuthi i-sense yokujonga i-drug ayikwazi uba kwi-abuse yayo, you know. If yi-drug, in other words, sithetha ngento ephilisayo, sithetha ngento eyi-therapy, sithetha ngento encedayo, eyi-catalyst, noba kukwintoni na. Now, it would be unfair ukuba ngaba inatsika iganja yona inakwazi ke xa i-categorized amongst drugs ingajongwa nge-legal connotation pharmaceutical in original view or point of judgment. Ungaqali ngoyijaja as a substance abused by ordinary citizens. Now, ithi ke ngoku xa ujonga the pharmaceutical right ihamba i-infringe i-traditional and customary rights. Fumanisa uba ngoku wena mntu ubuphila ngayo ngokwemveli nangokwendalo, ungakhange ube uqale ngosike kufika umlungu, uyenza lento umlungu engekabikho, uyenza lento ngokwendlela eniyenza ngayo ngokwesintu niyayenza yeza nani. Now, if pharmaceutical une-right yokwenza amayeza ngalento, why ke ngoku umntu wendabuko angenalo ilungelo lokwenza amayeza kwangalento? Now, ufumanisa uba oyena yena umele uba unelungelo okanye unikwa amagunya okuba namalungelo okwenza amayeza ngalento ngulo obekade eyenza ngokwemveli, ngaphezu kwalo uzawuza sekengcanga nesayensi. Ngenye ixesha yena sithi sithetha ngento eyenziwe ngentsango ibe le yakhe seyixutywe necocaine okanye ixutywe nenye substance kuphume enye into. Now thina ngaba sinetyala nathi naxa singxengane zethu izinto siqelenga nazo kuphume le nto yaziwa sithi okanye iphili sathi okanye ikholi sathi. Now this is the right protected by this document ye-United Nations ukuba ngaba sijonga kakuhle. And if i-bill ayisiniki elilungelo, then i-bill undermine thina as indigenous communities or traditional communities, but undermine even noyise lo athi ukhonza phansi kwakhe yena obeke imithetho esivumelayo kodwa eyakhe imithetho iyasivalela. Bakwazi unika imbeko ebantwini abaza nentuthuko esikhobozayo okanye intuthuko esivalela ngaphandle. Ufumanisa uba noba siyabona amasimi kuthe tyaba kodwa kubenefit ongqowankulu either abalapha okanye abase-Europe. Now that's what's bad xa sibukela umhlaba wethu apho kuzifama khona kulapho thina singacholi phantsi nedam. Apho kuxwebe khona emqomedini kuqhawuka iskeyili kuqhawuka kulapho ke thina silindeleke uba masiphuhlise and siphinde sithi sesinelo lungelo lokuphuhlisa kuloo ndawo sivinjwe ngemithetho yokokuba singaphuhli for uba sizondle sibe nentsika yokuzimela. Kuphuhle nje uphuhlwana lokuba sihlale singabakhongozeli okanye sibe yimarket yabantu baproducer le nto egameni lethu. Ayisesithi i-distributors ne-producers sinikeze ngomhlaba wethu, sanikeza ngelabor yethu, sanikeza ngento yonke benefits. Now this is my serious concern xa sithetha ngelicala lamayeza, ngelicala lelungelo lokuba yi-indigenous plant kuthi sinezethu izinto ezikhule apha asi-importanga ngabo aba-importa le yethu.
It presentwa as if it's a scientific substance. Ayinekwa as an indigenous plant. In many dimensions.
Ifuna sizazi allies zethu. Sizazi allies the traditional medicine societies or associations of whatever nature, not necessarily ganja, but why are we going to be isolated from others? If we speak medicine, then if they speak medicine, what's wrong with ours? Why is it going to be segregated against? And kasi teta indigenously, we are not wishing away about teta pharmaceutically or a chemistry, according to chemistry and whatnot. Tina teta according to our indigenous knowledge. This is why ndithi ke zonke ezi zinto zizinto esimele uba not only baba involved kwi-contributions xa kuconsultwayo, bekumele uba in fact they outline the way as institutions nithetha ngazo, because xa kuthethwa ngeganja i-medicinal. Xa nisithi nabo ungafika i-medicines abazenzayo today, ii-components zazo zi-extractwe kwiganja as we speak. So iganja ne-aloe, these things zizinto ke ngoku thina esinobanga i-indigenous knowledge yamayeza aphuma kuzo. Kuba nabathwa banebango, nabanye banebango, kodwa ke ibango libango nalakabani na mhlawumbi i-aloe alikho apha likhona nakoLimpopo nakwezinye indawo, nabo banebango kulo ngohlobo lwabo. So ndizama ukuthi nabathwa nabo banebango lale indigenous knowledge lala mayeza amanintsi avelayo kwikhala, for instance. Qinisekile nalapha kwintsapho banayo i-contribution yamayeza esewenziwa isilungu today. So ndizama ukuthi ibuhlungu ke ngoku into yoba ethu indigenous knowledge apho iye yaprevaila khona, yakhonkarishwa nayo. Ekukhonkarishweni kwayo yenziwa uba ingasincedi thina okanye isuswe kuthi, iyosetyenziswa ngomnye umntu seke ivela ngelaboratory kwathina. So zezinto ke ngondirhalela uba masingabhuqi if thina sisenza if kuthiwa thina yethu input kukuanalyza available research, kukuanalyza ezi documents sezikhona and see uba sikotyaphi, sibumbaphi, sikhomba ndlela othile.
My problem is that i-researchers alapha eSouth Africa ngoku uzobhala le bill khazike zithathe a sample of marijuana mhlawumbi kwezi ndawo zikuzo apha eSouth Africa, and therefore as a researcher you don't just take ilento i-conclusion, at least ungathathanga 10 or more samples. Uyeke ilento i-constitution and stuff akwenziwanga ne-visible study. Kwenziwa loo nto mos uyakhumbula nayo ndandiyilandela kakhulu. Bekwenziwa i-visible study, emva koko ke ngokwagqitywa kwathiwa mos akubonwa drug, akubonwa ntoni, ingakwazi uba ingatyalwa le nto. But ke ngoba sibamba ngalaa nto bafuneka ube ne-license ethile before ulento utyala.
Legislation, it's like yona yaluswa yi-constitution, but yona legislation yalusa i-natural law.
So
uqala i-natural law, that's why kuthiwa ngenye ixesha you may not consult the legal courts without exhausting the domestic. And that is now natural law, which is engulfed in tradition, in customary law. Now, ndiyarhalela uba ke ngoku niqonde le protection yokokuba we still have the right to detail and table out the actual intellectual thought of our wishes nge-cannabis on our land. You know? So masingati right now we are ready to do so. Even whatever the government has adopted, it has adopted it prematurely. It's subject to test. Right now, Tina, sisafuna uba the legislative principle must not move outside the perimeters as a traditional custom ezizawuphela zisikhuphala ngaphandle okanye zingakhuphi United Nations rules and regulations, stipulated guidance, and kwelinye icala zinga infringe any form of human rights, let alone uba kufuneka sicomplyile ne-legislation in as far as United Nations describes illegality nenantsika specifically to cannabis. Yeke yoba apha kuthethwa specifically nge-cannabis, but ndiqinisekile we will get something from the United Nations bathini bona nge-cannabis. Ndiza kule nto ke ngoku uyitshoyo yoba wena, in your view, I've heard your view before. It's something that I also entertain kakhulu. That's why abanye bathi it's a herb. Why? Because they don't believe it's a drug. And I believe now, let's not now use any form of fallacy. Let's take that stance 80 from this point onwards. Tina to Research Council will table out uba iyintoni lento. How do we classify it ngokwethu research? Over and above our indigenous knowledge about it. This is why we must not also be enemies with pharmaceuticals. Because at the end of the day, their knowledge might help us. But lento thina sikwaziyo uyenza iphuhle ngale yabo. Kambi kule igame kubonela abantu abantu abenza billions banishiya nezikhokho kanye ukungashiywa kwasikhokho. But le igame were able to go 50-50 with drugs ezenziwayo ngento ephuma kuthi nabo besiza knowledge yabo. Ingabikho le abuse yoba it becomes a monopolized enterprise or a monopolized financial, or business arena. Maybe to song, we have a stake, we have an indigenous right to any profits made. Ngento etyalwa emhlabeni. As on monopoly that is giving a few the rights of production, leaving the overwhelming majority out of the stream of production. And you find that the wealth is then controlled by those who control production. So if we don't control production, it's always controlled by the big companies, then we are out. We are out. That's why let's hold it. Let's say everything is subject to research council. You get what I mean? Ukwenza basi singathwa sishiyento. Into yonke sebeyibona nabo find that bathetha nge-research zezinye indawo. If for instance ndithi kuwe iJamaica siyazi uba ibimele uba likhaya elavumela intsangu udalu but isandovunyelwa only 2015. In Netherlands kudala ngo-60s if I'm not mistaken. Now we must analyze uba in Netherlands nge-60s yayijaje njani yona uzivume njengoba mhlawumbe United Nations ithi mayingabikho legal, but in Netherlands yenze legal njani if the contradictor United Nations no Uruguay njengoba beyenza ngoku yephi lento ye-United Nations abayicontradictileyo kanye abayitransgressileyo. And if by in line with United Nations, what is it labor in line nayo? Besides just this document. Now these are countries legalizing it. In the United States, there is a state in the Michigan, Michigan, Sunday legalizing. Whereas generally in the United States, it be illegal. Now, what was the argument leading to legalization? It will strengthen our argument. That's why let's not reinvent the wheel. People who have articulated the argument about why can you legalize this drug if it's declared a drug? This herb, if it unfortunately is not a drug. So, as a history, as a background coming to legislation, a legalizer, it's very important for our own background, not to say we are importing what they were doing, but to give us strength, because solidarity. I value upper income ivela nangaphandle. So that this we can use it as part of our solidarity. Who knows? We will get people who were involved in actually crafting or drafting the way to illegalization. And it will give us beef, because this is what we must use to attack the beef. Singathi thina uba indigenous sibona ngolu hlobo, but masibekele fair enough, but support ke ngoku ngale mizekelo yezindawo, because we are not an island. We are a pocket of a village in a global village. Singalenye kanti uba nathi ezethu inkalo funa sizipopole ngokuthina bethu okanye ngokwe-region yethu, ngokwe-presence zethu. As to consistently refer or for our children to be taught, because if you don't teach them what happened, what is the damage done by the colonialists, definitely you will not articulate how they must free themselves. You will get people who are able to be arrogant against this modern oppression, but without a focal point of self-emancipation. That we owe to ourselves. That we owe to ourselves. So when we meet, let's meet with an intention to say, no longer criticizing, but dilemma. We now understand. Now we must project. Every contribution we make in our meeting is about projecting how to actually bring these things to sprout, for our own benefit now. In the past, it was a benefit to our forefathers, and it disappeared through colonial things. And now we need it to sprout in our time for our benefit.
Marijuana is part of an economic, the agriculture is chain, of which it's part of a greater economics, which then Nati as a kingdom is going to want us to go to the issue of institutionalizing our economic plan and strategy. It might be a ploy or a decoy, the issue of marijuana that is being brought up for discussion at this point in time, for us to forget about the greater issues. Hence, it's an even deeper issue of economics. I've always had it in my mind that as the royal houses, I know historically we've been a lot disadvantaged. We have been suppressed and undermined and underhanded a lot, to such that we haven't had an opportunity to compete with democracy. as the Royal House with our public relations strategy to say that we needed to formulate an approach, a holistic royal approach to institutionalize, because the issue of this historically is how we have been stopped from administrating. As hence we know that colonially the fight was against the royal houses. Yes. The colonizers came to face the royal houses, to fight the royal houses, and to stop the royal houses from administrating. Because the key thing is there in administration. So we were stopped to administrate. So now, in order for us to be able to rise again, we're going to have to formulate an institutionalization plan. How then do we institutionalize ourselves to administrate? Yes. To start an administrative process of which economics it will play a major role in it.
It's part and parcel of Uguroku Lomnyama, lena plan, but kodwa ke kwenye icala ibe program ye-billionaires because ngoku kwi-industry ye-technology yekanti there are many products ezikhoyo ezi-inventwayo eziproducwayo abafuna ukuthi basebenzise. So therefore ukuthi ngoku ba-create environment ukuthi le technology le ithengwe noma ithengiswe kumele benze imali ngayo. Ifana nabantu abenza i-weapons. Xa besenza i-weapons bafuna eza weapons zisebenze. Ba-create wars so that kuthenge i-weapons so that ibe business. It's the very same strategy abasebenzisayo yoku-dispossessa,
create demand.
you know, so that bakwazi ukuthi ekugqibeleni ba-dominate, because it is about domination, global domination because the Europeans, because that's what they are doing all over the world. They seek to dominate abantu in all aspects of life. So lena into enento kwenza ngcannabis and xa sijonga zonke ezindawo, America, Canada, Australia, Israel, zii-settler colonies
Yes.
as creatures, the invaders. So which means the criminal states. And xa sijonga le program lena kuthethwa ngayo nge-cannabis within the context of the ndawo sikuyo, le colony sikuyo, kuyabonakala ukuthi akukho ntshukumo ezenziwa apha because of imigushuzo yalapha ngaphakathi. But there's a global agenda, because these zinto zezibill ko-Caribbean, kwi-African countries, ngoku kuthethwa ngento eyi-one. NaseJamaica kuthethwa ngeJamaica, kuhamba ezi-bills, kuthethwa ngezi-license. So le nto ye-license ayinanto yokwenza ne-nation or the country kuthiwa yi-South Africa, but it's something eyenzeka globally.
So someone is in control.
He's in control because this is a multi-trillion business, industry. So trillionaires, billionaires are the drivers of this thing. The politicians, the agents. Because if economies zinkampani. South Africa created a Dutch East Indian Company, British East Indian Company. It's registered as a company even today. So your president is CEOs, which means Gabandu Aba operator a grounding for billionaires and trillionaires. Monsanto aba producer is seed, the synthetic cannabis, whereby engazukwazi ukuthi ibe ne-seed yokuba ikwazi ukuzireproducer ezokwenza ukuba simane sothenga i-seed kuMonsanto, i-chemicals enento kwenza noproducer nokhulisa le-cannabis ngokwendlela yabo, inento yokwenza nokuba sidepende kubantu abathile abazi-producers the seed ne-chemicals. ngoba nabo zesibillionaires zithetha ngayo. So le agenda ye-cannabis yi-agenda ye-billionaire group. Politicians zona zikhona to create environment yokuba whatever bafuna uyenza bayenze, because nam umzekelo ndine more than 3 times ndibanjele iganja, and ndimdala into ekubeni ukuthi kube khona umntu or indoda ethile phaa ukuba imxelele mna ukuthi ndiyisebenzise njani kanjani, ndilime kangakanani, ndiyikhonzume kangakanani le cannabis. So ku-underminwa kwam oko, which means le nto kuthetha ngayo yokunyathelwa kwamalungelo abantu, the bill itself undermine umntu, ubudala bomntu, ne-intellect yomntu, because ithi awuzucinga ngoku kwazi ucinga, awuzukwazi ukuthatha i-decision ngoku kwazi ukuthatha, awuzukwazi uanalyze usebenzise ingqondo yakho ngoku kwaziyo, because bona bathi ngaba bazokucingela wena into ekusuppose ukuthi uyenze wena kumele udense to the tune. So ngizama ukuthi wena kungani le program yi-program ezokuthatha umhlaba wethu, yi-program ezothatha ilabor yethu, yi-program ezochabanelisa our indigenous patent seed, and then ba-impose or basimanipulate ukuthi siyuze their seed, their chemicals. At the end of the day, whatever sizokuthi sayiproducela bona. So yona lena into iyacaca, iyabonakala into ekubeni ukuthi ayizanga zokuphilisa isizwe sakuthi, but izothatha the little that we have, because asinoyibaluleka into ekubeni ukuthi iganja, i-cannabis, intsangu lena siyayazi i-role eyidlalayo yokwenza into ekubeni ukuthi sikwazi ukuphefumula. Kunabantu abaphila ngayo, kunabantu abakha amakhaya, bakhulisa abantwana, bafundisa abantwana ngayo, and bayayazi ezi-billionaires ezi-imperialists zayazi into ekubeni ukuthi even if uthetha nge-revolution yabantu abamnyama, i-resource abantu abamnyama bana-access kuyo, abanokwazi ukuthi bayisebenzise to generate power yiyo, because igolide, diamonds, nezinye i-minerals, nezinye babasithathe. So they are very much aware into ekubeni ukuthi i-central kwi-revolution yokurestorisha i-Africa, yokurestorisha isidima somntu omnyama, because yiyo i-resource ekufitshane kuyo umntu omnyama akwaziyo ukuyisebenzisa ukuzinikeza amandla, which means
we no longer need to outline in detail the oppressive measures as we do. We need to spend more time articulating ways of untailing, breaking the chains of oppression. Let's spend every moment, every minute articulating our way out. One of the most important things that we should be cognizance of is that the world power is somehow dilapidating, meaning whatever means of strength they're trying to impose to control, it's falling apart. Our governments are becoming empty parrots. You can name them parrots, you can name them puppets, you can name them France, you can, our authority in certain terms, South Africa is a simple company registered in the New York Stock Exchange. That's what it is. But the United Nations recognizes it as a state. Now, we should also appreciate, as much as we hate it, that there is an order above us, which is the supreme power in the world. That is the Anglo-American power. Let's appreciate that it exists to rule the world. They exist to outline the order. That's why if you're an enemy of such, your life is threatened. Your freedom is threatened. You might be a victim of imprisonment, incarceration, intimidation, name it, whatever. Persecution, Here you are not persecuted for what you politically believe in. You are persecuted for being a stumbling block to the processes that the superpower wants to implement. What you believe in is immaterial. Whether you are a Marxist or capitalist, whether you are a Pan-Africanist or what, they don't care. All they look at is their commercial gain and their monopolistic control. That's the idea. Now, let's appreciate that we are under that iron heel. We hate it. But you cannot say you are free now because South Africa is a democratic country. Not at all. If South Africa has to be ruled by the iron heel of the Anglo-American authority, then we cannot be free. We have seen Zuma, we have seen Baby himself, we have seen Cyril already, that these chaps are in fact not in control, including Madiba himself. We have seen that. We cannot be talking about these things any longer. Let's just acknowledge that this is the situation. Now, what do we do as a people to protect our plight, Ikhona ngenye ixesha xa ufika umama kwa aqongwe zigebenga ehlathini. You must fend. You must find a way out. You will survive. And yes, you are not destined to death because you are an orphan. You are not destined to misery because you have not. As long as your conscience serves you, as long as every sweat and your muscle serves to a united, a consolidated effort, which will bring about the desired results that we need as communities. We no longer need super artificial leadership. We no longer need promises. If we have hope now, that hope is in ourselves, not in any political leader, not in anyone. The only thing you must be careful of is their dirty tricks, is their evil tricks, is their satanic devotion. These people are devoted to the satanic, and they are prepared to serve the devil, and they're prepared to die for the devil. And if you people are not prepared to die for God, then who are you going to die for? And if God has no one to die for him, then the devil is going to triumph. Yes, triumph. Easy. We must now outline about this cannabis or this dagga, this hemp, this marijuana, this what, this, let's now put it as our research council will interpret it. Then we outline our developmental objective in as far as it is concerned. And also make up what economic space does it close in our economy in general. And what communities are going to benefit how. If we're going to wait for them to do it for us, what you are saying is what will prevail. They will take everything. It's time for us to take over, not shy. We cannot be shy about it. We cannot do it with preservation. We now need to go all out.